Hello, and welcome to Managing All Your Work with Asana. If you're like most small business owners, you likely have multiple projects on the go, on top of your regular operational work. How do you keep track of it all? This session will help you learn how to keep all of your work organized so that nothing slips through the cracks and you can meet your upcoming goals for upcoming projects, extra orders that might be coming, seasonal rushes, and just about anything that your business needs. Using online project management tools like Asana or Trello or Monday can help you stay organized and get things done. These tools can help you manage all of your regular daily activities as well as any size project. I am Sandra Amer, and I've been working in IT for over 20 years on multiple types of projects for businesses of all sizes. I'm passionate about helping others work smarter so they can get things done and meet their goals. I'm a digital workplace expert, which means I know a lot about using different digital tools and how to use them to create efficient operational systems. I also volunteer as the national president for a nonprofit, the One Parent Families Association, and I'm the Ontario chapter host for TechSoup Connect events. Project management plays a big part in being able to accomplish everything I'm involved with, as well as being able to provide excellent services for my clients. I'm based in Canada, but I work with clients around the world. At All About Systems, we help empower entrepreneurs and small business owners like yourself to reach their goals by creating efficient digital workplaces. Some of our clients are just looking for some one-on-one consulting or training on how to use specific tools or apps. Others are looking to get help with building a complete digital workplace or getting a digital workplace assessment done. Or perhaps they need help running projects. I love doing presentations like this as well for a variety of different organizations. And I do it for a variety of different topics, including project management, Google Workspace, and many other topics. You can learn more about what I offer at allaboutsystems.ca or connect with me on LinkedIn. Let's get into what we will cover today. First, we're going to look at the basics of project management so you can get a better understanding on how to set up and deliver a project. We'll review a concept I've come up with to help small business owners and entrepreneurs better understand the basics without needing to complete a full 10-week course. Then we'll look at Asana specifically to get an overview of how it's set up and how you can use it and some of its different features. Finally, we'll go over some really important tips and tricks on how you can really make the most of Asana and make it easy to use on a day-to-day basis to manage your operational work and your projects. So, what is a project anyways? PMI defines a project as a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. All projects have these specific characteristics. So it has to have a beginning and an end. That's where the temporary comes in. If it's something that's ongoing or operational, like an SOP, that's not a project. A project by definition creates something new. So maybe designing the first SOP or setting up a whole bunch of new processes for your organization could be considered a project because at the end of it, the outcome is that you have a list of documents that you'll use as part of your operations. Project is made up by a series of tasks. So a task in and of itself to write a one-page document is a task. It's not a complete project, but multiple tasks will make up a project. Project is also temporary. It's something that typically only happens once. Even if you do similar projects over and over again, they're not the same project. There might be a different client, there might be a different item that you produce. You may follow the same steps, but the project in and of itself will always be different. These are a few of the fundamentals of what a project of what's included in a project. And all projects will have these elements associated with it, regardless of its size. First and foremost, there's going to be a project manager, and that is likely going to be you, which is probably why you're watching this presentation right now. Project managers are the key to ensuring that a project runs smoothly, and they're responsible for keeping everything on track, and if there are other people involved, making sure that they stay informed. Every project will have a goal. It's really important to identify what it is you're trying to achieve from the project and what the outcomes will be so that you can make sure that the project is focused to that specific goal. As mentioned, a project has a definite beginning and end. So you will have a timeline for your project. When do you need to achieve it by? When do you need to hit milestones in order to hit that end date? Those are all important things to consider as part of your project. Every project will also have a budget. Now, maybe you're working on a project, a personal project or a small project for your business, and maybe you think you don't have any costs, but there is still the hidden cost of your resources and time. So it might not cost you anything to buy software or equipment to complete your project, but it may take up your time, and you need to consider that as part of your budget as well. Finally, all projects have stakeholders. There's always going to be somebody who has an interest in making sure that the project is successful. That may be you as the project manager, especially in small projects, but you're likely completing the project for somebody else as well. Maybe it's your customers or employees, or maybe you have to undertake a project because of government regulations, for example. There are other people and entities to consider when undergoing a project. Another key concept when we're talking about projects and project management is something known as the triple constraint. So the scope of a project essentially sets up the boundaries of a project. It's an agreed upon understanding as to what is included or excluded as part of the delivery of that project. So for example, if you're designing a new website, you may not consider mobile devices as in scope because maybe that's something you're going to do as a separate project or down the road, or it's not needed. So being able to identify that boundary is important for understanding what needs to get accomplished as part of that project. Another constraint is time. Every project has a beginning and an end, and the more you increase the scope of your project, the more likely it will be that you have to take a longer amount of time to complete that project. And similarly, there's going to be a cost associated with the project, be it dollars for equipment or resources, or your time. So it's a different kind of way of looking at time as a cost, but there is typically a cost associated with it as well. And the idea of the triple constraint is that if one of these items changes during the life of the project, chances are it's going to affect the other two. So if all of a sudden your funding gets cut in half and you don't have the budget anymore for the project, or your budget shrunk by half, you need to adjust your project in order to meet the scope. So perhaps it means it's going to take you a lot longer, or it means you're going to have to take things at a scope of the project, and maybe there's certain modules or features or items within the project that you won't be able to deliver. Project management has been around for a long, long time, and there are different methodologies or approaches that project managers can use to complete a project and get them done. These are a few of the more popular ones that are out there. There are a ton out there that are not as popular, but these are definitely some of the more common ones that you have likely heard of. I'm not going to get into them in too much detail here because I'm going to share with you my own methodology or understanding of projects for small businesses specifically. So when it comes to smaller projects, some of those big methodologies you saw earlier, like waterfall and agile and Six Sigma, they're not as they're really big concepts for some people to understand, and it can make it a daunting task to try to deliver a project using a methodology that might be a bit too big for what you're working on. So if it is just you, or maybe it's just a couple of people on your team, I want to offer you a different way to think about projects that is maybe a little simpler. So this is really what you need to know to manage projects effectively. You don't need to make it complicated. You just need to make sure that you're planning effectively. There's lots of tools and templates you can use to make things easier, but truly understanding why you're doing each of these phases is a lot more important than the tools you're going to use. If you understand the why, it'll make it a lot easier to get to an end result where you can actually get things done and complete your projects. So just to walk through this a bit, there's two different ways to kind of look at this process or this methodology. I've defined it as 3 steps, which spell out DOG. It's kind of a simple way to look at it. The first step is to define. So when you are starting a project, it is really important to understand why you're doing it. What problem are you actually trying to solve? And in order to solve that problem, who needs to be involved? What needs to happen? It's really important to understand all the requirements you need. What resources do you have available? What are the constraints with the timelines? Really try to understand the essence of the project and what's needed before you dig into it and actually start working. And what you'll find during this phase of the project is the more questions you ask, the more you'll get a better understanding of what the scope of your project will be. As well, you'll better understand whether or not it is an actual project. So during this stage, it's really great to ask those questions to determine, is it actually a project? Once you have all that information and you've gotten ready, you can actually start organizing and planning your project to get it done. So the second step brings us to organize. Once you have all that information and you've defined your project and you understand what you're doing and why and what needs to be accomplished, what your deliverables are, you need to organize all that information. You need to break it all down into tasks that can get executed to reach each of those milestones or deliverables. Once you have all that organized, you need to put it in order as well to make sure that things get done in the order they need to happen. And yes, there are tools. This is probably one of the better ones to use some tools to organize your tasks so that you can achieve these milestones and keep everything neat and orderly to get set. Once you have all that done, you know what you're doing, you know why you're doing it, you know the tasks that need to get executed and what order they need to get executed in. Now it's time to get it done. So once you have your plan in place and you know the tasks that need to happen, get them done. Do the tasks that need to get done. Trust the plan that you've created and start executing those tasks. Now, the key to getting things done and making sure that the project is successful is to communicate and manage expectations, even if it's just with yourself. As you work through your plan, if you have other people involved in the project, make sure you're communicating any changes to them and that they aren't taken by surprise by any changes that might be happening in the project. So it's really important to set those expectations and stay on task and communicate. Let's get into learning a bit more about Asana. Asana has a lot of great features, and as you can tell from a 90% user rating score on Capterra, it's one of the top tools out there. There's a lot of similar tools out there, and while Asana can be a bit intimidating, it is great for managing multiple projects and activities for free. You can upgrade to a paid plan, but I feel that's really only necessary if you're working with really large teams or you really need those additional features like dependencies and more advanced reporting. If you do find it intimidating, then definitely start with something like Trello or Microsoft Planner, which is a little bit more basic. So let's get into a little bit of what Asana has to offer. Asana keeps all the important things you need in a handy collapsible menu in the top left of the screen. Your home screen will quickly let you know what you may need to work on soon, as well as provide a quick reference to your recent projects. Asana allows you to create multiple organizations or workspaces. Organizations are based on your company's shared email domain and connect everybody within your company that uses Asana. A workspace is a collection of people that collaborates on projects and tasks. Workspaces can be used by any group of people and do not require a common company email domain. Within each organization, you can have multiple teams. Teams can represent different functional groups that work together or be used to otherwise group projects together. Projects themselves are made up of a series of tasks that can be assigned to individuals or team members. Teams and projects also appear in the left menu for easy access. Projects, as mentioned, allow you to organize all of the related tasks related to a specific initiative, goal, or some sort of big piece of work into a list or a board. Tasks are the basic unit of action in Asana. You can create new tasks, duplicate an existing task, merge two tasks together, print a task, or delete one. Tasks in Asana can hold a lot of information, but the three key pieces that you need to know and make sure are included on any task are the assignee, the due date, and the description. The comments section is also a great way to chat with other team members about a specific task, and it really helps reduce the amount of emails that may fly back and forth about a specific task. When you're getting started with Asana, be sure to check out the project templates. It's a great way to discover the many different ways you can use Asana to track your projects, as well as other operational work. Now that you've had a look around Asana, let's go over some steps on how to use Asana on a regular basis. One of my mantras has always been that the best tool for you is the one that you will actually use. So if you make the decision to use Asana to improve your operations, then you need to actually use it. The first key tip to getting started is to start setting up your tasks. You want to make sure you have any projects or teams set up so that you can assign tasks to the right projects and people. One tip for operational type work is to have an inbox or default project where you can dump those tasks so that you can then process them. When something comes up, whatever it is, be sure to add it to Asana if it's something that you need to action. Either do this manually from the site by clicking the plus sign in task, or you can also use the project's email address to forward emails that will automatically create a task for you based on the email. The idea is to get all of the to-dos that are out there into one place, Asana. That way, when they're in one place, you can actually action them. In order to make sure you don't lose track of the tasks that you've put into Asana, you need to go in there daily and review all of the tasks that are listed under My Tasks and any messages that may have come up in notifications in your inbox. Checking your inbox is especially critical when you're working with others. This is where you're going to get notified that they've made any updates or mentioned you in any comments. When you're working in My Tasks, be sure to take any items that are in recently assigned and put them either in today, upcoming, or later. Doing this will help organize your tasks so that when today comes, you only have to focus on today's tasks. Once you put tasks in upcoming or later, as the due date approaches, which is why it's important to use the due date, it'll automatically bump it up to upcoming and today as that time approaches. The other thing you want to do is reflect. You should do this at least weekly, if not more often. If you have an assistant, this is a great assignment for them. Have them review all the tasks that are in your inbox or coming up later to ensure that they get reprioritized. Projects should also have this review done as well, making sure that all those fields are filled out, including the assigned to, the due date, and detailed descriptions to make sure whoever is assigned the task knows what they need to do. Create additional tasks if you require something else to happen before the task in question can be completed. And finally, the key to being successful in using Asana is to trust the system you've built. Once you've done a quick daily review, just look at your tasks in today's section and get them done. Mark the tasks as done when you complete them, and then keep this cycle going. Capture your tasks in Asana, clarify what needs to be done, stay organized, reflect on the tasks and projects you have, and then get it done. Some final general tips for running successful projects. When you're setting up your project, try to keep in mind what the goals are and what's needed to ensure a successful delivery of the final project and what comes next. Do people need to be trained to use whatever you're building? Will it affect other processes after it's implemented? Be sure to use the right tools if needed to communicate with others or even yourself. Being able to visualize what needs to be done will help you get it done. And finally, don't be afraid to adapt. All projects will have something unexpected come up. You may need to completely stop what you're doing, and that may really be the best decision instead of wasting time working on a project that won't result in the right kind of value for your business. That brings us to the end of this session. I hope you learned some great tips and tricks on how to manage projects effectively and use Asana to run them, as well as your daily operations. If you're looking for additional support, I do offer by the hour consulting and training and can help you with setting up your projects in Asana, troubleshooting issues, project management advice, or even acting as a part-time PM for your organization. Email me at sandra@allaboutsystems.ca or connect with me on LinkedIn. Also have a special offer just for you all here at Systems Summit. I'm offering my digital workplace assessments at a 15% discount when you use the code SSF2021. A digital workplace assessment is a great way to get an overview of and an end-to-end look at your systems and processes and get actionable recommendations to meet your goals. Learn more about it or get your offer at allaboutsystems.ca/DWA. Thanks again for joining me and keep working smarter.